Good morning on this 8th day of May, 2021. We're 2 weeks past Shakespeare's birthday, well, 2 weeks in 500 years or so, and 2 weeks before the commencement of the class of 2021, led by the 21st president of Center College, Milton C. Moreland. How are you this morning, President Moreland?
Doing very well, Milton. Thanks for asking. Yes, it has been a good semester for the most part around here.
It looks like a lively place, but I'm worried with the pandemic and the ambiguity. Are we going to have anybody come back to campus in late August this year? Or will you have it to yourself, you and Dina and Blue?
As much as I enjoy the campus by myself with Blue. It really is a wonderful place when we're all together here. So we have had good response to the pandemic. We've been at least 4 weeks without a positive case on campus. We've been able to loosen up some social regulations, and we are excited to invite families back for the graduation for the class of 2021 and the class of 2020. So we've got 2 big weekends coming up, and we are looking forward to being in person. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, a nice sunny day like it is today in Danville. And we just can't wait to have families back on campus and alumni back on campus soon. So really starting to feel like let's get back to a little bit of normalcy around here.
What about this summer? We've got folks coming on this summer. Governor Scholars is back, isn't it, in July?
It will be back.
Yeah.
In fact, even during the pandemic, as many know, we hosted many Governor Scholars here on campus in week-long programs last year. And this year we'll be back to the normal 5-week Governor Scholars. We'll also have a new bridge program for students. We're pushing out some new programs for high school students that we're excited about. And we'll continue to be building out our summer program, especially, Milton, as we get this brand new athletic excellence facility built, which will bring a lot more high school students to campus over the summer in those incredible indoor facilities, new stadium, and the new natatorium.
Is it true that if Japan kind of can't do it, we're going to host the Olympics this summer? No, it won't be ready this summer, will it? Maybe next.
No, I think Danville, with this new facility, will be competing for future Olympics.
Good.
Both winter and summer. We're going to build a ski resort here as well. So
yeah. And we could have it in connection to the 2024 presidential debate, right?
Why not? Let's host that. Let's host the Olympics, both winter and summer, and some high school students for sporting events in the summer.
My. And in the fall, we begin, don't we, a new academic program in finance, what's it called? Economics and business?
We call it business around here now.
Business.
Yeah, but indeed, growing out of this incredible economics and finance major that the college has had for a very long time, and one of our largest and most esteemed, it is exciting to see the business major coming on board, a liberal arts business major here at Center. So we had a wonderful new class deposit in this process of coming to college. May 1st is a big deadline for us. So we had one of our largest classes ever commit to the college. It may end up being the largest class ever by the time we start at the end of August. So we're excited to see so many high school seniors committing to come to Center College from around Kentucky, around the nation, and around the world. So it's going to be our most diverse class. It will have the most first-gen students ever in the class. It will also be the highest academic class in the history of the college in terms of incoming GPA and ACT. That doesn't mean that the students who are here aren't terrific. They are, but it is exciting to see more really incredible students want to come to Center College. So we're thrilled to have a good group of first-year students coming in this August.
So Laurie Hartman tells me that even though we had to cancel the summer study abroad, study away, that right now at least we're geared up to send a whole lot of students all over the world in the fall. You know, the image of a liberal arts school has changed dramatically in a generation. It used to be thought of as a sort of an ivory tower away from the maddening crowd of a urban center. Most liberal arts schools are in the leafy suburbs or in small towns like Danville. The shift has been from center and liberal arts schools as ivory towers to center as sort of a mothership that sends students out all over the world, connecting them to things. And I think we're going to have an example of that at 3rd and Main Street in downtown Danville in the much beloved old Hub Frankel building. And I think we're going to learn more about that in just a bit. Have we left out anything at this point, Milton?
No, I like that transition. As always, you are excellent at these segues, professor.
Have you ever ridden a Segway? Have you ever yourself ridden a Segway, Milton?
I haven't. I'm not sure I'm coordinated enough for that. I'd like to practice in private. Things tend to be.
If you aren't, I suspect that Dina Moreland could teach you because she's pretty coordinated.
True.
I think this probably gets us to introduce Andrea and Anthony Margita, who will, I hope, tell us about themselves. There was a long article in a local magazine that was really fascinating. And I ran into people and they say, who are these people? They couldn't have done all they have done. And can you believe they're coming to Danville? And I said, well, I don't believe they're coming to Danville, but I see them on the screen. Andrea and Anthony, could you say hello and tell us first about yourselves a little bit?
Well, sure. Thank you, Milton.
Thanks, Milton.
We couldn't be more excited to be coming to Danville, to be, this is our home. This has become our home. And we actually get to really live here full time and connect even further with the community. So we are thrilled.
Where did you come from?
Well, we live in Ohio, so not really that far, except when you try to make that 7-hour commute, it feels a little further. So,
yeah. So we've been part of the center community for over a year, because when we were brought on to take a look at CentreWorks, to think about designing, the custom designing programs for that center, we've been involved with the center community for that long. At that time, when we began the effort to design CentreWorks last March, and it was the week right before the whole country shut down and the pandemic took over. So what we thought would be plenty of visits to Danville ended up being a year of designing and operating CentreWorks from afar in Ohio. So we're very excited about being here in person now and making this our home. And really the the thing that really won us over were the relationships that we've been able to build, most of them two-dimensional on Zoom over the past year. Exactly. That knowing the people both at Center and in the broader community have really won us over. Really wonderful people in this area.
But can I push a little further about your itinerant and eccentric and wonderful background before Ohio? Could you just quickly review sort of where
Sure.
you've been and what you've done and how you got there? And
so we're the product of liberal arts education, Anthony and I, and we realized the value of that. We met in College of Worcester, and we're both entrepreneurial in spirit, and kind of pulled us together. So we'll go a little more into our journey.
Yeah, we met, in our liberal arts, during the course of our liberal arts education. Andre and I both went on to get advanced degrees in sciences. Mine's in organic chemistry, my PhD. Andrea's is in food science. And then, we got married and started a family. And Andre and I took off on parallel career journeys, both in the areas of entrepreneurship. Mine was more along the corporate path initially. So I did technology development, had some exciting work, developed a few patents, but also did something that a lot of scientists don't get to do, and that was be on the front lines of global commercialization of those technologies, and also being parts of small groups that conceived and developed new businesses within larger ones.
I think they called it entrepreneurship at the time. So you were an entrepreneur, but you were doing this within a corporation.
So how will CentreWorks work in the center of Danville, Kentucky at 3rd and Main? What's it about?
Well,
it's about building community, really at the very core, doing that around what we call the entrepreneurial mindset, which is a growth mindset. Do you want to expand on the?
I mean, prior to being here in Danville for CentreWorks, Andre and I's careers came together, and we formed a consultancy where we developed innovation environments, ecosystems where people could succeed and build opportunities for themselves and for their communities. That's the background that brought us to Danville. And so when we talk about designing CentreWorks, it's really utilizing some of the tools that we want to instill in students of Center and also the broader community, and that is the human-centered approach to innovation. We use that approach, and we're going to tell you about that in a minute, to design CentreWorks. And a big part of that is listening to people. It's empathy. It's understanding, developing and understanding through deep listening what people's needs are, what their wants are, what their strengths are, and where they want to go. We pulled all that together to design CentreWorks.
And really going beyond, listening and understanding and taking it to a level of appreciating other perspectives and needs, and then being motivated to do something about that. So empathy is pretty deep. It's a skill. Our students will talk about that. I'm sure it will come up when we talk with the student panel, but it takes a lot of practice to really embrace and be comfortable practicing empathy. So
let us tell you how that all works with CentreWorks. The mission overall for CentreWorks is to build a more resilient community, an empathetic and inclusive, resilient community. And we do that by really building on the strengths of the liberal arts education. And what we hope to add to that are two specific things. One is that we teach our students is that entrepreneurs are not born, they're made. And the way they're made is they take on behaviors that become habits of theirs. And that those behaviors are the entrepreneurial mindset. Things like grit, perseverance, resilience, empathy. And the one that we really like is embracing ambiguity. And that's going into a situation where you don't know the outcome, but you believe in yourself, you put yourself in situations, you take risks, you learn from your failures until you ultimately succeed. And that's becoming comfortable being uncomfortable. Learning to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And if you think about the times in which, all of us have done that, we've certainly come out of that knowing a lot more than when we went into those situations. So the entrepreneurial mindset is a big part of it. It's
a growth mindset.
It's an action verb.
Yep.
And that's what's added to the repertoire of the liberal arts education. And then on top of that, we teach a tool for innovation, the human-centered approach to innovation. And that's simply involving the human perspective in all aspects of complex problem solving. So it's incorporating that perspective not only in defining a problem, but also carrying it through to defining the problem and the solution itself.
It sounds like that this is at the very center, the hub of a liberal arts education. And you are in the hub, Frankel, or hub building. And I think some of the listeners have the warmest wash of memories of going down to the hub. I've talked to some last few days, and they talk about coming to Danville and walking into Hub Frankel. Joe Frankel, who was the center board member, lived on Maple Avenue, was always at the door. And if you were in a hurry, you couldn't go in the front door because Joe would say, I'm going to tell you one thing, and he'd tell you 14 things. So you'd slip around the side door and go in. And for I don't know how many years, but that was where it had the very best line of china and silverware and men's clothing and women's clothing. You didn't have to, this is the pre-Walmart days. And you didn't have to go to Lexington or Cincinnati, but I know we could probably do a book of memories of that building where you're at. It was the hub of Danville, and now it's going to be the hub of center strategic plan in a way, isn't it? That liberal arts education prepares you in an intelligent, careful way for a world of life and leadership and success. So can you I know we're going to talk to some students very soon, which I'm very anxious to do with Dean Ellen Goldie, but can you give us an example of something specific that you have done or are going to do, so it kind of puts some color into this concept?
Sure. So access to fresh food? Sure. Well, the first opportunity for students was last summer, the boot camp, resilience boot camp. So pulling students in before they'd even started at Center College, these were incoming students. We had sophomores, juniors, and seniors also assisting with the boot camp, which of course was meant to be in person. But the whole point was to start building community before the students even arrived. A community among the students, but then with the broader community. So they connected with individuals throughout Danville and Boyle County, and even further throughout the region. The 7-county region will serve One of the challenges they tackled collaborating with the community was access to fresh food that was brought forward to the boot campers from the community.
Yeah, one of the things that the students had told us in our empathy journey early on was they wanted to meet community. They wanted to engage the community and be part of and learn what it's like to be part of the community. So that was dialed into, as Andrea is saying, dialed into the Resilience Boot Camp. We brought forward community champions who brought these challenges like access to fresh food. So not only did these students have the opportunity to meet people in the community, but they worked side by side with them in taking on some of these community challenges.
So, developing professional skills, filling up that toolkit, but also building some deep relationships. And the students you'll see today have continued on all year working on access to fresh food. And they'll continue with that. They'll keep working on it because they feel such a connection to Danville, to Boyle County. And it's really wonderful to see these relationships develop and the community to just embrace the students. So now you brought up a great point, Milton. Students have a reason to go downtown, right? To connect once again at the Hub building on the 3rd floor. And I think that if they encounter a student as people are trying to enter, it might turn into one of those 15-minute, let me tell you 15 things instead of just one. They are really excited about what they're doing at CentreWorks.
This is a wonderful, I think perhaps from a postcard, but there's an earlier connection between this building and Center College. The inspiration and longtime owner of the building, the Hub, was Joe Frankel, as I said. That's not Joe. That's not, or that's not his wife. And there was not a day that went by. He and Charlie Hazelrig, for whom the Hazelrig Gym is named, and many people listening will have many fond memories of Charlie Hazelrig. Every day of their life, they talked. Charlie would walk down to the Hub, or they talked by phone. This was before texting and stuff like that. And so the connection has very long roots, and I know you will make it even stronger. Do we have, I didn't recognize the excuse me, young woman in the, perhaps someone watching does. If so, could you chat? I'd love that. This is at the men's counter, and someone was describing to me a few days ago, walking in there and having all of the men's shirts neatly stacked up. They weren't just thrown in a pile, And Joe Frankel would make sure that the store looked perfect every time you walked in, if you could get by Joe, because he'd want to talk to you. And you could. I remember the first time I walked in, I was going to get a shirt or something, and I hadn't quite seen anything quite like that. The most famous part of the building, as everyone will remember, is that there was no cash registers, but you'd put money in a pneumatic tube and it would kind of whisk up to the 3rd floor where some people would, make the change and send it back. I was so sorry they took out those pneumatic tubes. That would have been fun to send notes or something down to now it's a cafe and coffee shop, send a note up to CentreWorks.
Yeah, that would have been fun. We wish the tubing were still there as well, but we will have some memorabilia in the new place, in the new space. So that will be really something to kind of take that trip down memory lane when people are looking at different items that we have throughout the space.
Yeah. And you said you're going to have kind of a grand opening at the Gallery Hop in early June.
Well, that's a soft opening. I don't think everything will be quite ready at that point, but you're right on the gallery hop. CentreWorks is participating, and we're pulling in, we'll have the artists who have graduated from our early entrepreneur programs. So we have quite a few artists who have gone through some of the programs we've offered, but we'll also have a wide array of startups that have come through. Individuals who've come through, they'll be presenting what their business plans and what they're starting. So it'll be a great chance to see the space and
of course the
transition.
The students that have gone along that path with them, they've had the chance to observe, to learn, to facilitate and be part of that team building, that business building exercise. So that's really at the heart of what CentreWorks does, is though while we are looking for outcomes that are new business startups, taking on community challenges, that the mindset and the human-centered approach are tools that students are learning alongside of these efforts. And they're things that can be projected forward in their lifetime for whatever challenges they may be taking on. But they'll be there at that gallery hop as well.
Megan, maybe we can see that slide that shows the picture where we're all Zooming together and everyone can see the students. Yeah, see the students really zeroing in and listening to Alethea Bruzek, a community member who the students have connected with around access to fresh food, actually, but also around the business that she's working to create. And so these students were part of that, gave some really great brainstorming ideas. You see John Graham is on there. John's a first year. He will continue with these entrepreneurs in the capacity of helping them with marketing, branding, social media. And there's Lucy, you'll hear from Lucy Swenson in a bit. And Lucy Swenson went through a rotation and really helped
coordinate the whole program.
Yes.
And to help pull it off.
And form some strong connections with people throughout the community in the process, and develop some really important professional skills as well.
Is this, is CentreWorks, that would be for business, economics majors, or can anyone get involved with it?
Well, that's a great question. So we have, anyone can get involved. The mindset, this growth mindset, as we've said, you know, it just aligns perfectly with the liberal arts philosophy. So we have students, you'll hear this later as well, the diverse fields of study that they've chosen. I don't know that we actually have a finance major involved at CentreWorks just yet. We have theater, anthropology, environmental studies, what else? Like all across the board.
Studies, yeah.
Great.
So all students are not only welcome, but highly encouraged to participate. And one thing we do as well is we customize that so that when students become involved, we make sure it's in a way that enhances their skill set, but also enables them to work on something that they're specifically interested in.
Those same skills that are necessary to create a startup business are those same skills that enable people to take on community challenges and grow in their life and take on new opportunities, address new opportunities throughout their lifetime.
And it's all about collaboration. So you can see that the space is big and wide open. Oh, and here we have Phoenix, two of our fabulous students.
You've been working with CentreWorks
for a year now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time now, right?
Yeah.
And this is your first time entering what will be the facility for CentreWorks. Tell me, how does it feel?
Special. We're the first ones, so that's great. Jeff said the view was crazy, and it is. This is so nice. Bigger than the pictures. Like the pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm kind of shocked. I'm like speechless.
Here's what I need to know, is it a confetti-worthy moment?
Oh, where is it?
Right? Can you, there you go. There we go. All right.
Very confetti work.
Thank you,
Yes.
Phoenix. Thank you, Adonis.
I want to invest in anything those two kids come up with.
Well, that's
You'll
you
have
can
your
talk to
opportunity.
Phoenix later. She's with us, and they have a startup. Phoenix and
man.
Adonis. They have a company called Rebegin.
And we are very proud to say that recently they came in second in the state of Kentucky in the statewide competition for student startup pitches and business models with their Rebegin company.
Yep.
By the way,
They're the co-founders.
what wonderfully appropriate names for a startup, Phoenix and Adonis. Oh man.
Yeah, I love it.
This concept, my understanding, goes back a little ways before you two showed up and even before President Moreland showed up. And I think it was one of the brainchilds of our then new dean, Dean Ellen Goldie. And I think she's on the screen. I can see her. Ellen?
Hi, Milton.
Is that rumor true? Was this your?
Well, we were, in John Roush's last year, he was asking us to start thinking big. And what is it that, might actually really make a difference? And so, yeah, I had this crazy idea that maybe Center could reach into the community in really important ways that would benefit our students, but also, as Danville and our surrounding region thrives, Center thrives, and we can really be, I think, better partners, have a lot more reciprocity in the community to the benefit of our students and the surrounding community. So it's been pretty amazing to see it happen. I love the fact that Andrea and Anthony Margita were willing to actually not only, launch the program as consultants, but to actually become part of our permanent community. And so we feel really lucky about that. And to see what they have done and the enthusiasm that the students have is exactly what I hoped of, but it's certainly surpassed any dream that I had.
How did you manage to find the Margitas, Ellen?
Well, it's actually kind of a fun family connection, believe it or not. So I have known of Andrea and Anthony for quite a while, but I didn't know what they did. They were just friends of my sister and brother-in-law and, sort of friends of mine, but I didn't know them all that well. And I was talking with my brother-in-law and about what we were imagining. And he said, well, Ellen, don't you know, this is what the Margitas do. And I went, wow, do you think that they might actually be interested? And, turns out that they were. So it's been a real joy to have that connection. I know that I'm going to get my sister and brother-in-law to come visit me more often now too. So they won't come for me, but they'll come for the Margitas.
Are there some students that you have on the line, Ellen?
I do, and I am excited for you to meet them. And so Megan is bringing them in on the screen here with me. So we have Taylor Kennedy, you can see. We have Phoenix Statton. We have Lucy Swenson. And I know we have one more, John Bingaman, is coming in at some point. Megan's going to find him on the screen as well. There he is. And I'm excited for you to meet them. So Milton, if you have any other questions for me, otherwise I'm gonna sort of turn this over to the students in some ways.
Do it.
All right. So thank you for getting up early this morning. This is not a typical time for our students to be up on a Saturday. So I hope everybody can appreciate that they're getting towards exams, but they were excited to share a little bit about CentreWorks with you. So I've asked them to start off by just letting us know who they are. And so I'm going to go in order of what I see on the screen here. So Lucy, would you mind introducing yourself to the group?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Lucy Swenson. I am in the class of 2024. I am still a first year, so I haven't declared anything yet, but I'm thinking I'm going to major in environmental studies and minor in international studies. I'm originally from outside of Chicago, but now I live in Owensboro, Kentucky. And on campus, I am part of Center Singers. I'm a member of ADPI. And I'm also a part of the Center Environmental Association. And so next year I'll be serving as their outreach coordinator. So I'm really excited for that. Phoenix is also a member of SIA. And then, so I'm also part of CentreWorks. I have been working with Liftoff, which is fostering the entrepreneurial mindset in entrepreneurs in Danville and the surrounding region. And then I'm also working with Fusion Access to Fresh Food and that initiative, which has been really exciting. That's what really initially drew me into CentreWorks, because I'm really passionate about access to fresh food. So yeah, that's me, and I'm so
and
excited
Lucy,
to
were
be
you
here.
part of that? Were you part of that resilience boot camp?
I was actually not, but this summer
so
I will
come
be
in after. That's great.
Yes, and I'll be serving as the summer intern with CentreWorks, organizing and facilitating the boot camp. So
Super.
I will get my own experience with it. Yeah.
Great. So Taylor, you're next on my screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Kennedy. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from a little town called Mars, just like the planet. I'm currently a first-year student. I'm planning on double majoring computer science and politics, and then having a minor in Spanish. So not really economics or business, but you know, CentreWorks has already drawn me in. So I grew up active in my 4-H clubs, showing livestock, and that's what led me to Kentucky in their state shows, because everyone always asks me, why did you land in Kentucky like you're from Pennsylvania, right? But after enjoying all my visits down here, I decided to look into some smaller colleges, preferably one with the Bonner program, and that's how I found Center. I'm now a Bonner Scholar, which is a community service scholarship. CentreWorks is one of my service sites and was one of the first organizations that I got involved here at Center. And I'm more than happy to call this program in the Margitas my family. Soon after I found out how passionate I was about CentreWorks, the Margitas selected me to be their student ambassador. I started off as a participant in that summer of 2020 boot camp, then made my way on the Fusion team, which deals with the Access to Fresh Foods community collaboration group, and then into Liftoff, which Lucy was mentioning, which was an experience-based learning for first-time entrepreneurs and startup founders. And then on campus, I'm also involved in the new Center Civic Leaders Club, which works alongside the office and other student organizations to promote democracy and voter registration for upcoming elections. And I'm also in the dance team at Center and in the Kappa Delta sorority. So yeah.
That's great, Taylor. So I got to ask you, I think you have been virtual this year. Is that right? And you're at home?
I haven't, but I'm back home now. I came back a couple weeks early because I had some family events and my brother's graduation. So yeah, I'm back at my house right now.
Well, and I'm looking at those awards behind you there. Are those some of the things that you won showing your livestock? And
yeah, so a lot of like my banners and stuff, they're like circled basically around my room. They're from all my local shows, and some of them are from state shows. So it's pretty neat. I just like to have them up.
Well, you know, at one point in my life, you know, very early on, I showed a pony one year at the fair and a horse another year. I never got any of those wonderful awards. I didn't work hard enough, I think, with my animals. But well, it's great to see, Kate Taylor. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So, Phoenix, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I'm Phoenix Statton, class of 2023 from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am majoring in anthropology and minoring in linguistics. And to mention a few of my extracurriculars, I am so in love with this program, CentreWorks. I'm a part of the RCore program, which means that I'm on track to receive a certification in the entrepreneurial mindset and all that entrepreneurship entails. So I'm really excited about that. And as Lucy mentioned, I am also on the executive board of SIA, Center Environmental Association. I represent I'm the vice president of events planning, and I am also on the executive board for SPEAK, which stands for Students for Prevention, Education, and Advocacy within the Community. It's kind of long, but I am the Social Norms Campaign Coordinator for that. So I kind of look at how students govern themselves on campus and the ways that we can create a positive culture of caring on campus. So that's been really fruitful this entire year. And alongside those responsibilities, I am an RA, and as I mentioned, my minor, I am profoundly interested in linguistics and the ways language shape our lives and perspectives and ways we treat each other. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But that's really where my heart lies and where my passions lie. And I am also a New Horizons scholar. So
that's great. Phoenix, thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the linguistics link. That's great. So John, how about you?
Yes, good morning. I'm John Bingaman. I'm a current first year, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so not too far. I'm an intended theater major, and I've been a part of CentreWorks and this kind of exciting journey since the Resilience Boot Camp. So I've been involved since mostly August, but also July. And outside of that, I'm really involved with the theater program, and I will be serving on the Center Players exec team. So that's really exciting.
That's great. That's great. So John, I'm going to start with you with a question, because I could see you were like, no, don't steal my thunder, because, we were going to be talking about why on earth would somebody who is not a econ and business major be interested in CentreWorks. So I know that was something that's really important for you to share. Why is it that this is really a liberal arts program?
Yes, to people who I guess have that immediate thought, I would honestly just tell them about my own experience. Both of my parents are business owners, but myself, theater and the arts is where I really see myself and where I feel myself most excited about what I want to do in my career. But hearing about the Resilience Boot Camp, I was like, well, we'll see if they make me start a business, or I guess we'll just dive right in and see what it's about. And it's been the complete opposite of that, in the sense that I think CentreWorks is really for anyone and everyone who, want to learn and harness skills like resilience, empathy, and as the Margitas mentioned, the entrepreneurial mindset, and be able to take those and cultivate positive change in their own life and also in the community. And for me, that's where I've really found a home in CentreWorks, because I find that there are so many parallels between the arts and entrepreneurship in terms of self-advocacy and empathy, and really connecting and investing in the community.
Thank you. I think this community is lucky to have all of you working so empathetically with them. There's a thing about town gown relationships, and learning that's actually kind of sounds like a put down to our community members. And so to really learn what it is that they need and are thinking about, and what they bring to the table with all their expertise too. So it's great. So Taylor, I'm going to turn to you. So what does it mean to be a CentreWorks ambassador anyway?
Yeah, so once the Margitas selected me to be their student ambassador, I was more excited, because that kind of meant that I was their little sidekick and I could help them with anything they needed. I know they have a lot on their plate, so I love to be that person that can assist them in any way. So as the student ambassador, I continue to work with those participants in the 2020 Resilience Summer Boot Camp in order to build community and strengthen the organization's presence on the campus. I network with student organizations and raise awareness for CentreWorks mission and activities. I also serve as a student liaison for the project at various faculty, alumni, and trustee events, so something like this. I also collaborate with center student workers and interns as circumstances dictate, particularly on social media campaigns and database management. And my tasks also include encouraging and building social media with other students. So overall, my main job is to just basically help get CentreWorks that name throughout campus and explain why it's so important. And I think so far it's been working out, because CentreWorks is always coming out of my mouth like everywhere. And even if it's not with CentreWorks, like if it's with anything else, like it's coming up somehow and everyone's like, well, what is it? I'm like, well, let me tell you. So it gets around. And I think this assignment in this position has really got me to help expand their name a lot.
Well, Taylor, thank you for all that extra work that you are doing. You know, as you reflect a little bit on what you've learned through CentreWorks, not just your job as an ambassador, but with what you've learned and how it's changed you, you know, how does it affect you, you know, kind of in an everyday way? Or is CentreWorks kind of like your job over here, or does it actually sort of infect how you now think?
Yeah, so I think at first I thought it was this separate bubble thing that I was kind of going to come back to and not have to deal with a lot in my life. I didn't think it would affect me as much, but as I began to get more involved with CentreWorks, I was able to understand a deeper meaning behind all of these strategies that I've learned. The human-centered approach that I began to use every day in Center has got me to use it in real life, on campus and off. Using empathy in my everyday conversations has made me grow as a person. I like to pay attention more to details. And when I'm having these conversations with family, friends, or professors, this listening skill has really improved. And that's always something that I've tried to work on. I'm a big talker, like I can talk your ear off, but
no, we can't tell.
That I need to work on. And I know that I've been able to improve this a lot through CentreWorks and use it in my everyday life. And then another thing that I've been using as well is that entrepreneurial mindset back in the 2020 summer boot camp that I learned. I didn't think I would be using it every day to solve problems or figure out what was wrong or, you know, anything like that. And it didn't really hit me until I got into quarantine for the first time. So I was in quarantine in the hotel by myself for 14 days, you know, not allowed to see friends, family, had all these emotions going through. And I would come across situations or issues and think about those mindset steps that I learned. And I would figure out the issue that I'm dealing with. I would come up with tasks to solve them and then select that best solution. And even though sometimes the solutions didn't turn out the way I wish, I would have to go back, you know, nitpick out those factors and then rethink other solutions just that I learned, you know, in the boot camp. And by doing this, I think I'm shaping a lot of resilience every single day and here creating my own story. I sat there and I thought a lot. And, you know, I continued to learn and grow from others and applied this resilience to myself as I look back into the situation that I was in. And then I had some great opportunities to become the best me. I had been quite stressed, you know, being in quarantine and in the situation. It was something like that hit me very personally. And it just had all those thoughts and it turned me into having this negative mindset that I did not want. And I know that's not the type of person that I want to be. And I know by knocking out these thoughts in my head, I was able to build strength and trust with empathy. And sitting there by myself with all these thoughts rolling through my head soon led me to like not give up on my purpose. And this purpose was to create positive empathy and share my values with those who surround me.
Wow, Taylor, that's great. I know that, you know, this pandemic has been really hard on Center students in particular, and you know, a lot of sadness and grief for what has been lost, not just, you know, the everyday things that you wanted, but some students have faced real grief of losing a loved one, and so it's been a really hard time. And so I like to think that, you know, if everybody had this ability to, number one, be empathetic with yourself, right? Not just with other people, but to really learn what it means to persevere through those really dark times. So thank you for sharing that very personal journey. So Lucy, I understand that you've been working with the Liftoff program, designed to train those prospective entrepreneurs outside of Center. So in this surrounding 7-county region that CentreWorks is designed to serve, you know, so why did you want to work with all these people in the community? What is it that actually, how do you think it's going to benefit you as a student to work with this broader community of people?
Yeah, so I am serving with Liftoff as I'm also working towards my entrepreneurial mindset certification. So I was assigned to work with Liftoff this semester. And so that was just an assignment for me. But I did choose to do it, and I was really excited about it because, like, we all know about like the center bubble. It's so weird, like going to the store in the middle of the day, realizing that this is what normal people do. Normal people don't just stay on like 3 acres of land for like months on end. But CentreWorks has been really forging this center community that's just beyond like it's in downtown Danville. It's beyond the walls of Center College, and that's so important because we are fueled by entrepreneurs and they are fueled by us, and so there's truly a reciprocal relationship, and it's really exciting to see through Liftoff how Center students and Center just the Center community as a whole can really foster those relationships and build that community. So I was so excited to work with that, and I didn't really anticipate this, but I've also forged a lot of relationships with entrepreneurs, which was really exciting. Getting to hear like the ins and outs of their business plans and watch how those have developed has been so exciting, and I'm really excited to get to support them as they have these dreams come to fruition. And so that's really important to just build relationships beyond our little center bubble, because it exists and it's real, but that's not the extent of our interactions in our center community. And also, as all of the other CentreWorks students have mentioned, just building empathy within myself and learning how to communicate that to others is so important. Empathy is such a buzzword, but it's for a reason. Because it's so important in daily communication and emails and phone calls and listening to people. So Liftoff has really helped me to foster these values and learn how to externalize them and not just apply them to myself.
Wow. Thank you, Lucy. So Phoenix, we got to see you and Adonis earlier celebrating the space, but I thought, you've been, two of the very first students to get involved with CentreWorks and the Margitas. And in just 1 year, you've developed and pitched a successful pitch to the state competition. So can you give us like sort of the 30-second version of your business, Rebegin, and a bit about how CentreWorks helped you win second place in that competition?
Of course. So I'll give a very short abridged version, but Rebegin is a personalized upcycling service. And so it really takes any unused, ill-fitting, old clothes in your closet and transforms them into something new, usable, fashionable, really anything that you can imagine or not imagine. That's kind of the point, right? And so it's been really wonderful to work alongside the Margitas, and I call them our mentors, because they've really encouraged us and really cultivated this successful framework in which we operate, centered around empathy, centered around connecting with community, connecting with people, and hearing what they want out of Rebegin. And so really kind of going to what Taylor, Lucy, and John were saying, like, this is everything that we do is operated out of empathy and out of connecting with community members and listening to what people have to say, because, that's really everything that we have. We have each other's voices, we have each other's perspectives. And so Rebegin has really taken off with that mindset and connecting with people and, listening to not only what they want in their upcycling transformations, but what they want out of the business, kind of a lot of the key factors that we kind of uplift, whether that's environmental consciousness or community engagement. So CentreWorks has been a really core part of Rebegin's development, and also getting us to Kentucky Pitch, second place in this statewide competition. They coached us through it all, and they were working late nights, and they gave us so much advice and input on things that we can tweak and change. And so, this opportunity has been really amazing, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world. So
that's great. That's great. I wish everybody could see some of the pictures that I've seen. So one of them was how Phoenix took, you know, like if you're like me, you have all of these t-shirts that you've accumulated over the years, especially if you work or are a student at a college, you're like t-shirts everywhere. Taking like 5 t-shirts, cutting them up and turning them into one of the coolest dresses I have ever seen. So that is the kind of work that Phoenix is doing. So if you could quickly tell us, Phoenix, a little bit about the internship that you have coming up this summer.
yes, that is something that I'm really, really excited about. My internship is going to be centered around linguistics, and it's called Linguistics of Inclusive Infrastructure. And that's the internship name. And so I'm like so incredibly grateful that the Margitas were able to kind of formulate this internship and center it around my personal passions. Just a few weeks ago, I was telling friends, I really want to work with linguistics this summer. And so it really is quite perfect that I'm able to kind of go and be able to do this internship this summer. And during this internship, I am kind of looking at the structure of inclusive language and finding ways to apply it to startups that CentreWorks works with in order to kind of help create a strong foundation for organizations to build on and learn how to best leverage all of that empathy, resilience, and other core facets of entrepreneurship to invite so many novel, powerful, really just perspective voices in to help brainstorm and really utilize this human-centered approach to empathy a little bit more critically and intentionally. And so I'm really excited because I'm a New Horizons scholar and also CentreWorks R-Course student. And so in all of this, I work really closely with community members, and so I'm always finding ways to apply inclusive and accessible language and mannerisms into my own personal body language and speech and communication patterns. And so for me, it's really so many different passions coming together to create, a fruitful and productive summer, and what I kind of like to envision kind of just my future in general. It kind of sets the framework for so many wonderful things that I can take not only into Rebegin, but also take with me throughout my entire life and also share with others. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a great summer.
So I think that you can see also, the growth that Phoenix has been through in this liberal arts education here at Center College, and CentreWorks is just expanding all of the opportunities and what you've learned. So I can't wait to see Lucy and Taylor and John, as they're rising juniors and the stories that they will have to tell. So I think that we're getting a little pressed for time. Am I right about that? I had a couple more questions for students, Milton, but you guide me here.
Why don't we listen to John? He hasn't had the floor, and he's going to be a theater person.
Well, he did get the floor first, so I'll just say I made it around all of them, but I've got another one for John, in fact. John is going to be one of the first students to take advantage of a new study away program. So Milton, you were key in getting all of our global study abroad program started, but we now have a brand new New York City study away program where John's going to be all fall. I think that's right. And tell us a little bit about how CentreWorks has prepared you to go from center out, one of our new mottos here at Center College.
Yes, because a little bit of background is I'll be there interning and also taking classes. And with CentreWorks, I'll also be kind of continuing the work that we've done with fresh food access and really connecting with community members in New York and learning more, because New York is such a packed city and one that is so tight-knit and passionate, and learning about how we can take that passion and kind of invest it into Danville and the center community in terms of fresh food access, but also just connections. And I think for me, CentreWorks has really taught me those kind of key values and torches, I guess, if you will, that I can carry with me on my journey. And that when I am facing challenges or when I'm struggling to connect, I can come back and remember to empathize and innovate and kind of create those connections. And I think CentreWorks has really taught me center out quite literally in that, Center is a college, but it's also a community. And that if you put in the time to listen and connect and ask questions, that you will connect to so many more people than you thought possible and make relationships that are rooted in respect and accountability and wanting to build better community.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe that's a really great note to end on. And I want to thank all of you, and I hope you can crawl back into bed and enjoy a little bit more of your Saturday time. But I'm really proud of all of you. And I think that you've given all of our alums and others on this call a sense that what's happening at CentreWorks and at Center College is really special. And I hope that many of you will come back at homecoming and come to visit CentreWorks and see what it's all about. And these young people, I'm sure, would be happy to escort you around and talk with you more. So thank you all very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you, students. It was really inspiring to listen to you. Perhaps we'll go back to President Moreland at this time. I don't see him on the screen yet, but I know he's somewhere in my computer. There he is. Milton, you are the 21st president of Center College. The 21st president of the United States, if my memory is correct, was Grover Cleveland. And Grover Cleveland was unique in that he had a real hiccup in the middle of his reign. He was the only president who had a 4-year gap between when he served. You've had a big hiccup, something called COVID, okay? And yet you suggest, and I hope and think and believe, things will be back pretty close to normal this September, okay? With CentreWorks now begun and really under your belt, how does CentreWorks fit into your overall vision of what Center College provides students?
Well, Milton, thank you for hosting a wonderful coffee this morning, and indeed getting to hear the Margitas and getting to hear these incredible students talk about their experience here, and of course our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Ellen Goldie, think with us a little bit about how this education, this incredible broad liberal arts education in the sciences and in fields of study that bring students in contact with ideas from across the world and from every field. We want them to be broadly trained, but we also want them to think about relevance, right? We want to think with them about how what they're doing is relevant not only to their career choices, careers that haven't even been invented yet in this ever-changing world, but also think with them about how to be relevant in their communities, both as entrepreneurs in terms of business and prospering in this world with their careers, but also entrepreneurs in terms of social justice, in terms of thinking about how to make our world a better place, in terms of working with nonprofits and giving back and being leaders. And so I think we got a pretty good taste of that, and can't wait for that to be happening in the Hub building as well as on campus. But I think it's relevant for Center to be, to have that presence in downtown Danville, above the coffee shop and above our bookstore, but have a place where the community can easily go and work with us to think about how they too can have a piece of what is happening here at Center, this fantastic educational opportunity. So looking forward to not only these programs that we've talked about, but more programs to come with CentreWorks. And so hoping that alumni increasingly get involved with this. And frankly, if folks watching are interested in helping out with our students and thinking with the Margitas about how they can be a part of CentreWorks, we'd love to hear from you, and would love to hear from others who have this entrepreneurial mindset and have taken that and done amazing things across all sorts of communities across this incredible planet.
There's some recent news that, let's see, Bridgerton, Lupin, and Downton Abbey are going to be reprised, a new season or a new film in the fall. Okay. And it's possible that Coffee with Milton will have a reprise this fall. I think details aren't yet set, but we may be able to talk more about the Highway, which is AKA the Field House, or other exciting things. So I'll look forward to perhaps being with you, some of you, this fall. And President Moreland, do you have any final thoughts for this fine audience who's gotten up at 9 o'clock or probably 8 o'clock to listen to us and to the Margitas and Ellen?
Well, thank you, Milton, and thanks for a good season here on Coffee with the Miltons. I want to thank Megan Milby for designing and helping us put this series together. Series 1, Episode 5, I think today. So yes, don't be surprised if Megan already has everything already figured out. She just hasn't told you yet. So we will look forward to talking about the initiative for wellness and athletic excellence at the college, but also meet a lot more people. I would love for folks to hear from Dr. Andrea Abrams and talk a little bit about our initiatives related to diversity and inclusion here, and a lot of other programs that are going on in the sciences and the arts. Would love to talk more about our theater program and some of the incredible things now with our glass program and ceramics, and just a lot of amazing things happening. So I'm not throwing away my cup. I hope you will hang on to yours. And if you don't have one, we're going to get you one, because season 2 coming up next fall. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon today, and we will look forward to seeing you back at Center College soon. If you're in Danville, come by and see us. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.